When I was young, I was brought up on an island, and on that island there's a lot of different kinds of music, particularly Yemeni music and Indian music, and also the colonial influence, because we lived in a little island called Zanzibar. Even when I was very young, I really wished I could. I just thought, what is that special something that makes it possible to create something like that? I got my first guitar when I was about 8 years old. It was just a plastic Beatles guitar. It's not really playable, but I loved it. And I could actually hold it the right way, instinctively. That particular song, Pascal's song, is something I really identify with, in terms of the heart has a reason that reason is not aware of. So when we think of the way things run, it seems to be so much based on logic and language and numbers, and yet we have this vast area of the heart, and the heart has an intelligence that intelligence isn't aware of.
If you got a reason for telling me that so, then I got a reason to know that it is true. The heart has a reason, the reason it is you.
So that was a profound insight. I think I was stunned when I first read that. The heart has a reason that reason doesn't know, or words to that effect. So I put that in a song. And it's a very simple song. And you can think about that forever, I think. The heart has a reason doesn't know. There's so many things we do, we just don't already know why we do them. And my formative influence in terms of playing guitar was visiting my friend's place. His name is Jack Clement. I used to visit him. He had a couple of his brothers worked in Australia semi-professionally in bands over there. I think I would have to say Greenfields.
Such a green painted field and the blue painted sky. Nobody's feeling that someday you must fly.
Yeah, because it's positive. It's talking about that sense of knowing that knowing that we have knowing that life is meaningful and eternal. Without language, you just know it, and you're inspired by it. You feel uplifted by knowing that everything's gonna be green and beautiful one day. You can sort of boil everything down to material terms, and you can crunch it into language and numbers. And I never really understood why that should be so. I think language, numbers, logic, that's fine, but there's a lot more to it than that. It's a lot vaster than that. The whole idea of anyone proving anything seems quite absurd. So anyway, that's my favourite song. Well, see, the street, it's interesting. I don't see myself really as worthy in that respect. I mean, when we're talking about the street, we're talking about busking. I don't consider myself particularly good at that. The reason I played on the street was really, might be, I might be reluctant to admit this, but the fact is, I couldn't find gigs. I just couldn't. If I go and play anywhere, I'd always offend somebody. And yeah, I've been influenced by the street. The street's been a big influence. You know, circle shows. I've always been intrigued by that. People can get up there and perform in the street and get a big crowd and do the most remarkable things in this short space of time. I've kind of been inspired by that. Yes, I wrote a song about Space Shuttle Challenger that exploded at about 50,000 feet, 1986. NASA put out they sort of had a competition, and they gave the invitation to all the primary school teachers of the USA to submit to be the first civilian in space. So. And there were two women on board, Kirsten McAuliffe and Judith Resnick. I think and the captain was, I think his name was Gobi. I can't remember the names of all the crew. So she was chosen out of 11,000 teachers. She was trained up for the mission. And they have a tradition in the US where a teacher is given an apple for the teacher. As she walked into the space shuttle, she was given an apple, a symbolic apple. And what happened was that there's a valve that didn't close properly, and the vapor from the fuel got into the combustion chamber, and the whole thing exploded. And so I wrote a song about it because I did a bit of research. There was a bit of a breakdown in communications between the engineering department and the rest of NASA, and they were advised not to send it up, but they sent it up anyway. Because particularly on the day it was sent up, it was very cold, and I was specifically told that in such conditions don't send it up, because there was a bit of a problem with that valve, especially in very cold conditions. And so I wrote a song about that because it moved me very deeply, because the whole thing was just so symbolic of how the whole of Western civilization, and there it is, all in the world media for all to see. It was like it seemed to be like a message from beyond. It was kind of the end of the American dream. 517.